Scenes from the Spectrum, episode 18, training camp edition. Let's get it.
Here's Ilyasova. Here's McConnell. Can he get it off? Yeah! And the Sixers win it! 7 seconds to play. Iverson against Gill. The crowd on its feet. Allen for the win. Yes!
Allen for the win.
Yeah, don't ever do that again. Don't ever do that again.
My idol. My idol. How is it going, everybody? Episode 18. Welcome to October.
So many, bro. That's
October 1st. It's the month that the NBA season starts on October 18th versus Celtics. We got
Dude, that's my dog's birthday.
Yeah, there you go. We got a
There
couple
we go.
things. Got a couple things to
it's
talk
big.
about.
Let's go.
Hit the music, Tony. We will run through our headlines for today. I'm Udoka. What is going on in Boston? 1 year suspension. Sixers media day. A lot to talk about there. A lot of quotes. Everything went on. Training camp in South Carolina. We saw a lot of things as there was a live stream of the entire practice and good conversation.
Shout out to them.
And we'll end the episode out with a Phillies and Eagles update. Ooh, it's been a good and bad week for Philadelphia fans. Bad with the Phillies, but other than that, it's been pretty good. Welcome to episode 18. Let's just get right into with I'm Udoka with the Boston Celtics. Man, what a just coming out of left field Woj tweet at I think it was 11 p.m. and he didn't say anything for like an hour.
Yeah, it was like the most vague report of all time. It was insane, really. I couldn't believe it.
Shams had to come in and get the details.
I told you, it's Shams 1, Windhorse 2, and then Woj 3.
There you go.
The rankings.
As long as
we said that
as long as Windhorse is top 2. As long as Windhorse is top 2. But
for sure.
This definitely shakes up the Celtics season, as you know, he played such a big role in their finals run last year, and he was a top 10 coach last year. As the Celtics didn't get off to the best start in the regular season last year, but they made it all the way to the finals, and that has a lot to do with their coach. And I tweeted this, but without a good head coach, things can go downhill very quickly, and Celtics fans are crossing their fingers about it.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things about the Celtics is how well coached they were to go to that finals run. And Ime Udoka, coming from the Popovich system, being in Philadelphia, we obviously know what he brings to the table, and he's been a very good coach for a long time in this league now. And his first year as a head coach, he was excellent. I mean, the guy was, who took his team to the finals, really. I mean, he was that good there, and taking over from a difficult situation with Brad Stevens and Danny Ainge having that falling out, and Stevens now being above him. I think it was big time for the Celtics that they got him because he was a hot coach on the market. He was one of the guys that I wanted when Brett Brown left. I wanted him to be the Sixers head coach. Not so much anymore because he's in some messy situation here, and I think that it's team chemistry is going to be a big deal. He's obviously more a player's coach. We've had some reports come out that him and Jaylen Brown might not have had the best relationship, but it'll be interesting to see how this affects the team, especially the role players that they got to play so well down that playoff stretch.
Yeah, and obviously, as a Sixers fan, you always pray on a Celtics downfall, and that's just exactly what happened. This could be detrimental for them. I mean, you never know. We'll see coming up as the regular season is right around the corner for us. Preseason actually started yesterday on the 30th. There was a 6 a.m. game in Japan between Golden State and Washington. I didn't watch it. I don't know the outcome of it.
I have no clue of what happened.
Even though I was up for it, I completely forgot about it, and I did not get a chance to watch it.
You were up at 6 a.m. last night, or yesterday morning, or this morning?
Yes.
That's insane.
I know.
Well, didn't fall asleep, or you woke up?
Didn't fall asleep. I didn't go to sleep till like 7. but
Yeah.
it happens.
I was I think it was 5'10" for me. Had some better call Saul binging to do.
See,
And then I
I've been
I
told
thought
to get
about
into that.
yeah, I thought about, staying up for the game, but I said I couldn't. I had to tap out. But again, I saw a Steph Curry slander tweet where he had a negative plus minus. That's the
Oof.
only thing I've seen about it.
Hey, it's preseason. Got to take everything lightly. So we'll see going to the regular season. But if you really want to read into the Amendoka, all that shenanigans, and check out ESPN or go to Woj or Sham's Twitter. They got articles out about it left and right. But let's move on to the bigger news of this episode, which was Sixers Media Day.
It's huge.
It's a chance where before preseason, everybody comes and does a press conference to coach. Doc Rivers, Daryl Morey started it out, and then all the players followed after him. And on Twitter, we made a long thread. It was around 80 tweets, I think, of just going through all what they were saying, big moments from it, and we actually have it up. If Tony, you want to pull that up.
Yeah, we
We
were
have
grinding, bro.
everything you need to know right here. As it started off with Doc and Daryl, and Doc came out and he said, "This is the best talent we've had in years, or since he's been here, at least." Which that's always good to see.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of obvious, no? Because the way that the roster is constructed is that it's constructed off past failure, and you got to get better from the year prior, and the year after that you have to get better. So I think that's kind of a given for Daryl Morey when he's building the squad.
Yeah, and one thing that was kind of a common factor between each and every interview is everyone was like, defense is going to win us a championship this year. Everybody is keying in on defense, and that's exactly what we want to see. Joel Embiid wants to be the best defender in the NBA, and he said that they want to be the best defensive team by far in the league. So that's exactly what you want to hear. Doc comes out and says that Maxi, Reed, and Thibault, nobody's really worked harder out of those guys. Maybe throw Isaiah Joe in there, but Doc came out and said there's been times where he's had to kick. He's tried to kick Tyrese Maxi out of the gym because he wouldn't leave. He would not leave, and that's what you want to see. That's what you want to see from your young stars. So, shout out Tyrese Maxi, Paul Reed, Matisse Thybulle, and Isaiah Joe.
We don't Matisse Thybulle. He's just getting it. What work is he putting in? Because I haven't seen him like shooting much. That doesn't mean he's not doing it.
He didn't shoot well. He didn't shoot well when I was watching that live stream they had.
From everything I've seen, he hasn't really taken the shooting leap that I'd like him to. And I get it. It's training camp and it's preseason. It's all that stuff. But we saw him dribbling. We saw him doing sprints and never saw him shooting. Doesn't mean he didn't do it for sure. But I would like him, if we were to take a video, should be shooting. Are we not? I mean, we don't need him to dribble. We have dribblers.
He said he worked a lot on dribbling.
I mean, like Furkan Korkmaz takes up the dribbling for those wing players enough. We don't need a Matisse Thybulle and Korkmaz trying to dribble. That's the last thing we need.
Tony, give me your thoughts on Matisse.
Get him off the roster. I mean, I've been saying it for weeks. I've been saying it for months, man.
Boy.
I don't want him here. Like, sure, cool. Daryl loves him. Apparently he's put in the work. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to sit through a few months of him playing. So hopefully that work will translate. He'll up his trade value.
Yeah. After Doc and Daryl left the podium, out came Joel Embiid and James Harden, the two you want to see together. And the first thing that Harden says is, "We didn't spend as much time together as I wanted to." Joel likes being by himself, which is true. It sucks that Joel couldn't come out more. But the boys are all getting together. They've said they've had a fun time in South Carolina. Team chemistry has grown strong. That's good to hear.
They're in Charleston. That is where Hurricane Ian currently is right now at this recording. They're getting hammered by a Category 4 hurricane.
Yeah.
So if they can survive that,
best place to choose, but
obviously a bad coincidence. But surviving a hurricane together in training camp is pretty legit.
Yeah,
that's cool.
That definitely builds
obviously
team chemistry.
The victims not being like, we got to make sure that's a serious situation. But if there was a team bonding experience, going through a freaking hurricane is something unique. It's spontaneous. I think it's, Midas touch might be, because everybody looks like they have good chemistry in their photos.
Mm-hmm.
Like everybody's smiling. I don't know. I haven't seen one photo of somebody not smiling.
The Suns. It looked DeAndre Ayton.
That's
another situation. I'm just.
It's another situation, but like even I've seen everybody happy to be around each other. Everything like that has been quite fun for me, because when we were after the COVID year, after the bubble, and we were the 1 seed, we had great team chemistry. We look back to that photo of everybody on the bench when the second unit was cooking, and you have all 5 starters going nuts on the bench. That was really one of the staple points of that year.
I think I want
to get back to that.
That's kind of been a big thing since, Joel Embiid's rookie season is team chemistry. Obviously, that changed with the whole Ben Simmons situation, but team chemistry has always been a very, very big thing here. And there was a little question about his Joel Embiid's drama with his former teammate, and Joel said, "I don't remember any of that," which I thought was pretty funny. Joel wants us to be the best defensive team in the league, and then Harden came out and talked about his struggles when he was dealing with his injuries, and said he was in a very dark place, a lot of tough moments for him, and obviously that sucks to see, but we're glad he's healthy now. He even looks healthy. He said he lost 100 pounds, which obviously isn't true, but that's good to hear.
Tweet that, right? Is that what he said?
Yeah.
So I think that we're in good hands with him, for sure. Like when you have a team leader like Joel, and we were never able to get off to a good start chemistry wise last year. It just wasn't possible with the situation. So this year, clean slate, out of Camden. Goodness gracious, out of Camden. Thank the Lord. Into Charleston. And finally, getting some real camaraderie with the team.
Mm-hmm. And up next came Shake Milton and Georges Niang. And Niang started with talking about how he had some bruising in his knee, and it affected him. As you saw, he did struggle a bit in the playoffs. Not what you want to see from your shooter off the bench, but if he was going through some knee issues, and I get it, but he says he's fully healthy now. Shake Milton also dealing with injuries last season. He said it was very frustrated, but he's healthy and ready to go. The team kind of feels like they're in a really good place now.
Yeah, I mean, Shake Milton's going to be a huge factor in that bench, because we're going to have a solid bench. I mean, you got D'Anthony Melton on there. I mean, you've got guys that can play, that can hoop for sure. And when Shake Milton is going good, the team is, especially in that second unit, because he's a guy that if it's needed, he could possibly take over a game and be, not the winning factor, but be a huge part in that piece. So getting him healthy and having him getting in a rhythm early in the season, and where he's not missing so many games a year, is going to be huge for Shake Milton, because the best ability is availability for Shake Milton at this point of his career, him being a spark plug off the bench.
Mm-hmm. Tony, give me a bold take for Shake Milton.
I mean,
putting you on the spot.
I mean, if he's there, he plays like he did in 2020, early 2021. I mean, you could see 6 man of the year type buzz from him,
March 1st, or that the best player of all time.
Is that the game that was against the Clippers?
Yeah, March 1st, Shake Milton, 2 years in a row.
Oh, that was one of my. It might be in my top 15, top 10 in my favorite Sixers games to watch. Shake Milton.
Those Shake Milton highlights will randomly pop up on my YouTube recommended, and I've never not watched it.
You always have to watch it. Shake also says that the new addition is going to be an atmosphere of growth, which I believe to be true. You brought in mostly vets, otherwise other than D'Anthony Melton and the young guys, but PJ Tucker, Montrezl Harrell, everybody's going to improve this year. Everybody should be the best version of themselves. And trying to win a championship, we really need it. And that was really it for Shake and Nyang. Nothing really much out of there. Daniel House and Jaden Springer, which Jaden Springer, little teaser to our next subject. Jaden Springer looked really good in training camp, especially defensively.
Yeah, Jaden Springer defensively is an NBA player, and he's above average in that facet of his game, without a doubt in my mind. Last year, as a G League player, he was probably one of the best perimeter defenders in the G League, along with some offensive outscores that were just like, where has that Jaden Springer been? And then you'll have your stinker where you're like, okay, well, we see why he's in the G League, but he'd also have 27 or he'd have 25 and he made 4 3-pointers, 4-7 from 3. Mm-hmm. So his defense is always going to be there. That's not a question about it. His defense is 100% on. I like him better defensively than Matisse Thybulle. Just the style of defense, more of a bully ball, less of a finesse, which I love. He's more like a Marcus Smart defensively, which is huge. He's a gritty guy. He's not someone that's going to try and poke the ball loose or get us blocked from behind, or he's not going to be a guy to bite and cause fouls, which is personally why I would take him defensively over Jaden Springer over Matisse Thybulle if we needed him. So I think the offense is going to be the biggest question because there's no question on his defense. His defense is super, super good.
Yeah, and he was improving in kind of every aspect of his offensive game in the G League, and you can kind of see it as the season was coming to an end for them. But there was no really note taking on Jaden Springer in media day. Nothing worth talking about. Daniel House just saying he's going to do whatever role he needs to be to contribute and win games for his team, and that was all for them. But we had Isaiah Joe up next. He said he had a very productive summer. He worked on his game a lot. He talked a little bit about his relationship with Tyrese Maxi and Paul Reed, and those guys were taken in the same draft class, so they kind of have a special connection with each other. But those three were in the gym all summer, and that's just something you want to see.
And Tony, you can agree on this. This is a big season, pretty much a make or break season for someone like Isaiah Joe.
Oh, absolutely. It's all kind of dependent on, the role Doc Rivers gives him. I mean, we all could have agreed he should have got more playtime last year. I'd absolutely love to see him more integrated in the offense this year. So,
hoping for a bigger role for Isaiah Joe. Up next was Tobias Harris, and he had kind of a different summer than everybody else. He got married. Congratulations, Tobias. He got a puppy. He's talking about his puppy, and then he said
eat some more goldfish.
he got right to work. He was talking about the when a lot of the team came to LA and they worked on kind of just everything. They did a lot of 5-on-5 live action. Everybody was showcasing what they've been working on. I said it was very few big days for them. Said it's going to be a competitive training camp, added a lot of guys with toughness, and there's a lot of versatility, and hoping they can put it out all on the court and make it work together.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the biggest things is when you can have someone like Tobias playing well. I mean, when Tobias is at that all-star level, he's got that something special in him. And when he's not, he's completely opposite, where he's like a ghost. And you never want to see him ever touch the ball. And anytime he looks at the basketball as a Sixer fan, you're sad. Like you can't believe you're watching this.
Yeah.
It's a disaster, right? But when he's on, he's making buzzer beaters against LeBron James-led Lakers with the best record in the league, right?
Yeah.
So I think Tobias is going to be a big thing. And one thing we're not talking about, and a lot of people said that PJ Tucker will harm Tobias Harris. I am the complete opposite of that.
No
Because
way
what
he
was
will.
Tobias doing a lot last year? He was getting the ball. He was standing in the corner, trying to be like a catch and shoot guy. And when he wasn't getting that catch and shoot, he'd take bad mid ranges. PJ Tucker will be in that corner. It'll free up so much opportunities for Tobias Harris because he doesn't need to be in the corner anymore for the offense to flow. Well, that's one of the biggest things. Nobody's really talking about it. And people are saying that PJ Tucker is going to hurt Tobias Harris. I don't see it being that way at all. PJ Tucker can play on any team in the NBA because of the way he plays defensively and offensively, where he can just sit in the corner and knock corner threes down. So one of the biggest things for that, Tobias Harris, PJ Tucker working together as a two, because they're going to be on the court a lot together, especially in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and he got asked about that, switching back to the small forward position, and he said it wasn't that much of an adjustment.
He was pretty much playing a small forward last year, and that's why he was so bad.
Yeah,
especially at the beginning.
And he touched a little bit about his struggles last year. He said the biggest adjustment for him was just letting it fly and not worrying about the outcome, which could be a little could be scary at times, could be good at times, but we'll see. He talked about the new additions and kind of what he was expecting, and then up next was Charlie Brown Jr. and Charles Bassey, and I didn't get any Charles Bassey quotes because I had to take a little bit of a bathroom break. Sorry for that. Which someone actually replied to the end of all the Charlie Brown quotes and said, he called me a genius and said there's no Charles Bassey quotes. Sorry, I was in the bathroom. But I mean,
you couldn't press pause, bro, for 1 second.
I mean, I would, but it's a live stream, so. But nothing really to talk about with Charlie Brown Jr. He's not going to get any playing time this year except garbage minutes. So there's nothing really to talk about there. Charles Bassey, I don't expect him to get a lot of minutes. We're pretty deep at the 5 spot.
Yeah, Bassey's definitely that odd man out for sure.
Yeah, which sucks because sucks. I would have liked to see him play, but we have better options than him, and we'll go to that. But next was Matisse. He came out right away and said he was working on a lot of shooting related things, everything offensive, ball handling in the open court, which you're not going to be doing much of that when it comes live action. So he talked about his new teammate, DeAnthony Melton, and how he said that Melton will tell you that Matisse stole the defensive play. I think it was the Pac-12.
Yep, Pac-12
Defensive Player of the Year award. They were both competing for it. Matisse won, and they kind of brought that up a few times, which was kind of funny.
Yeah, and that's another thing that we've got a lot of players in the team that go way back. It's kind of cliche, but I mean, you look at guys like PJ Tucker and James
all the
Harden.
former Houston Rockets.
The Rockets go back, even DeAnthony Melton and Matisse style. I mean, we go way back over here. You know what I mean? And Charlie Brown Jr. guy, again, won't see much playing time at all. Charles Bassey alike, but the guys that will see playing time need to be, like we said, they have to be on that same wavelength. And the guys that aren't playing, like Charlie Brown and Charles Bassey, need to have energy when they're on the bench. It's going to be one of the biggest things.
Yeah. Matisse also said he would like to make 100% of his shots this year, which I know that will become false on game 1. But Montrezl Harrell's up next. They were asking about the last time he's played with Harden, and he said that they've both changed a lot since they've last played together. He said he's been working on his corner threes a lot and his ball handling. I mean, he's not going to be doing much ball handling. And he's not much of a 3-point shooter either. So, I mean, maybe we might see a few corner threes out of him, but I wouldn't expect it. He also was asked about if James Harden called him and asked him to come to Philly, and he had no idea what they were talking about because that is tampering. You can't do that. You can't do that.
Right.
He also touched on the past on the court beef with Embiid, and he just said it's the competitive nature, and they were on the court rivals and all that.
We've seen that before with Embiid, with Drummond. So there's nothing that I'm worried about there on that front.
And Embiid and Drummond, hey, they're friends now. Drummond is actually really good friends with Tobias Harris. They've seen out in public together a bunch of times. I know they went to a concert together, but on the court beef means nothing when they, or for some players it does, but for most it doesn't. Paul Reed and Tyrese Maxi came up next. I was really excited for this, obviously, because Paul Reed and Tyrese Maxi are an interesting duo. They're pretty funny. Paul Reed, he said he added like 8 inches to his vertical, which it didn't really meet his goal of adding, I think was 20 inches, something like that. But that's a lot of inches adding to your vert.
I don't think that you could just add 8 inches to a vertical. Is that possible? Like
I think you can improve your vert.
8 inches.
It's like one of those YouTube ads. That's like a YouTube ad thing where there's like they put weighted ankles on you. You like go through our program training for 4 months, and you're gonna get 25 inches on your vert. Like it's.
I know there's a way. I know there's a way to improve it, but 8 inches. That's
probably embellishing it a little bit. But like 3 or 4 inches probably added, but 8
added like 8 inches means 3 or 4.
Yeah,
like 8.
Tyrese
like 3 to 4 is not bad.
It's good.
That's average.
Hey, I'll believe it. I'll believe him that he said 8. I believe it because it's Paul Reed. He could do anything. Tyrese said he built some muscle this year. He's got some husky arms. I'll tell you that. He wants to do a better job of fighting through screens, and he also emphasized how much defense matters this year. And him being unselfish, said this is a we season, not a me season. We want us to improve 1% better every day, and that's just exactly what you want to see. That's exactly what you want to see from a young star.
I mean, the dude is just everything you could ask for and more.
Absolutely.
He's a dream come true.
Yeah.
I mean, we're so lucky to have Tyrese Maxi, and everything he says and everything he did say in that press conference and everything that he said in the live stream that we saw when, from Mic'd Up, he's just incredible. I really can't wait for him to take this next step. Even though Tony doesn't think so.
Yeah, Tony hates Tyrese Maxi. If you guys didn't know,
by the way,
Tony hates Tyrese Maxi.
If you haven't been keeping up with the lore of the podcast, I'm bringing up a tweet of Tony's from like 4 months ago. But
Buddy got cooked. Buddy got cooked.
He got cooked.
Rightfully so. Rightfully so.
They try to talk about their they would always try to get to the gym first and beat each other, and they talked about health. And Maxi said he took his first ever vacation this summer. And Doc especially has been on him about recovery, and he's doing a good job about that. And this is one thing I really wanted the reporters to ask Paul Reed is what he thinks about the Montrezl Harrell edition, and he said it doesn't change anything about him. He said it was a great addition to the team, and Paul Reed's still the same guy. So great to hear. It hasn't really affected him. I mean, maybe on the inside it did, but he's not showing it.
I don't think it did. I think Paul Reed's just that certain type of guy where nothing really affects him, and he's just going to go and do his due diligence, and that's going to be that. I think Montrezl Harrell, the play style of Montrezl Harrell and what he's been through in the league, and the way that, he's gritty and he gets after everything, and everything is 100% hard work earned, it's going to help Paul Reed a lot.
Yeah, and
like a mentorship is what I'm looking for. I think that's what we're looking at here with Montrezl and Paul Reed.
Yeah, which you always love to see a vet mentor the younger guys. But next up was Furk on Korkmaz. We didn't know this, but he came out and said he had a little, I think it was nerve damage in his neck that affected his hands. Lost a little bit of sensation in his hands, and it changed his mechanics and rhythm, which does explain the shooting drought he went on last year. But he says he's feeling good, much better, and everybody's feeling healthy and they're ready to play, which you just love to see it.
Yeah, I mean, he's just got to be better, though. I mean, we're looking for a really good season from him. I mean, he's one of the guys that, even though it wasn't terrible last year, you're looking for improvement for sure.
Yeah.
Especially if we have title aspirations like we do. And I know, Tony, on this subject, you are very opinionated. especially with the player in question.
He shouldn't. Ideally, he won't get much rotational minutes.
Who, Ferk?
Huh?
Ferk?
I mean, he will, but
he'll get minutes.
Shouldn't.
He'll get minutes.
He should.
Yeah, he will. That's what I'm saying. He shouldn't.
Stop. You're talking about Furkan Korkmaz, the absolute
exactly. I'm talking about Furkan Korkmaz,
the absolute dog.
He used to pop the cork. Remember that?
Respect.
Absolute garbage time. Let's go back to that.
Respect him. He said he's been working on his ball handling. You know, got a lot of ups and downs, but he said he's had a good summer. That's really it for Furk. Hoping for a big year for him. Not just points wise, but shooting percentages wise. Up next with Trevelyan Queen and Julian. Is that Champagne? Is that how you say it?
Is that what we're going with?
I couldn't tell.
I really don't. I
haven't heard his name enough to remember.
I'm not really familiar with him or his game.
I think it's Champagne. Like
no offense, Julian, if you're watching.
I'm sure he's a great player.
There was really not much of a takeaway from those two. I literally said I put out one thing, doing all the small things, whatever it takes to win. It came from Trevelyan Queen. But up next was D'Anthony Melton. I was really excited to hear from him. He said he wasn't expecting a trade on draft night, not at all, but he was happy for it. He was excited to come, and he touched on Matisse stealing the Defensive Player of the Year award, and that was brought up a lot. And Matisse actually popped in and said something, but I didn't know what he said.
That's again, like, there's just this team, there's certain things about that. I remember watching this clip, and you just smile, you're just like, this team, they just have those moments of team chemistry blindly when you're talking about the Sixers and you're trapping yourself in for failure and disappointment and heartbreak. That's what that felt like to me.
Mm-hmm. Tony, give me a bold take for D'Anthony Melton this year.
Oh man, putting me on the spot. I think he'll shoot over. Actually, he probably shot over 40% last year, didn't he? From 3. I think he does it again. I don't know if that's really bold, but I'll go over 42% from 3 for him this year.
There you go.
I'm gonna say he gets 3 30-point games.
3.
Ooh.
That's a tough.
I hope
that's a tough task. But I
think he gets
my bold take of D'Anthony Melton's years, he will be the best defender on this team.
Oh, man. I was gonna say he might have the best defensive rating on the team. Yeah, that's fair.
That's so nasty. Defensive rating. Oh my gosh.
Tony,
come on, man.
What are you turning into?
He's gonna have the 4th best LeBron on the team. Like,
no,
what are we doing here?
Come on. Oh my god, his VORP.
Go watch a Ben Taylor video, please.
Man.
Up next was PJ Tucker. Tucker actually, I actually didn't tweet this, but Tucker actually, I hope Adam Silver was closing his ears for this, but Tucker said they actually both wanted to come to Philly the year before, but they couldn't make it happen. Obviously, Harden didn't, Tucker didn't, but they made it happen now.
And you know how people were saying that Harden's destination when he went to Brooklyn was really Philly last year? I think that PJ Tucker quote kind of confirmed that.
Yeah, absolutely. People were saying, obviously Harden has to say that Philly was the #1 destination, but it's just that clears it all up.
I mean, PJ Tucker said that out the blue. Like, there was no reason for him to say that.
Yeah. No reason. I really hope Adam Silver didn't see that. But obviously, there was a bit of beef between the Sixers and PJ Tucker. I especially remember Game 3 because I was there, and everybody in the crowd hated PJ Tucker for that game. He says, he says Tucker and Embiid just used to crack jokes while they were playing all the time, and then he's happy he doesn't have to go against them anymore, and they've been friends for a while. PJ Tucker actually had just a tiny knee procedure. It took only 20 minutes, but he's back on the court already. He's doing fine. He's fully healthy. He says his age doesn't really play a factor into kind of a downfall year, but let's hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, and he's a guy that just needs to play his role. It's all you got to ask for him. Nothing more, nothing less. Just play your role, and you're going to be just fine. And be the most important thing. Be a dog.
That's what we need.
Times.
That's what we need this year. Dogs,
fine.
And dogs. But really, that's it for media day. Tony, you can take that off and put the overlay back on. But I was really happy. Bye, Tony. It was an absolute pleasure that you were here. I was very happy with how media day went, kind of what everybody was saying. So
yeah, and you had a lot of those moments where you're like, yeah, this something special could be here, and that's
everybody, man. Everybody's saying it. This is our year. It really is. I really believe that this is our year. But yesterday, I think it was 2 days ago, the Sixers actually had a live stream practice on the NBA app. I watched the whole thing, and they should do it more often because the player and coach conversations might be the coolest thing in the world. Tony, if you want to bring up the video of the Doc Rivers and James Harden conversation.
Y'all got to get a communication where y'all listen to each other, right? If you want it, like I thought that last 3 or 4 times you wanted it. We got to get you in what you want. Like you can't just say you're a facilitator. I need you to be a scorer and a facilitator. And it's going to take time figuring it out. But we need you to be the aggressive James that you were those last 5 minutes. Yeah. And it's going to come. It's going to take a while. But when it clicks, James, we're going to be unbeatable.
That was easily the coolest moment from that live stream. And Doc and Harden, they had 2 separate conversations, once in the middle of practice and that was one at the end. He's just telling him, you have to be a scorer and a facilitator. You have to be aggressive. That's what we need from you this year.
Yeah, aggressive James Harden means Sixers championship. It's really that simple.
You're just speaking facts. That's really.
I mean, really Houston Rockets James Harden quite literally equals NBA championship, and that's not an exaggeration. That's not me being biased. Like 2018, 2019 James Harden, if that guy can show up, it's an NBA championship.
If that guy can show up for at least 50% of the games, championship is ours. I'm sorry for all the NBA fans out there, but this is not your year. It's the Philadelphia 76ers year. Joel Embiid is going to be holding the Larry O'Brien trophy at the end of the year, and it's going to be the greatest day of my life.
JoJo is going to get his finals MVP, averaging 35 and 12. It's going to be great.
There you go. But there was a lot of things I saw from the practice, but Doc was really Coach Doc Rivers was really getting into Tobias's ear about entry passes and getting the ball to Joel in the post. And because we and Doc even said it, Harden said it, Tobias said it, we were one of the worst entry passing teams in the league last year, and we have been for some time. He emphasized that we need to work on it. We need to be better on it. We cannot be bad at this anymore because we need to get Joel the ball.
Yeah, and usually our entry passer was Ben Simmons. Didn't have him last year, so that was kind of what led to that. But again, when you have Joel posting up, you don't need a good entry pass because he's Joel Embiid, and he can post up from the 3-point line and still get an easy layup, right? So yeah, obviously they were pretty bad at times last year, and getting that fixed will be huge for the offense, especially the flow of the offense. So we don't have, Joel Embiid post ups every single time. And, when he doesn't get a good entry pass, he passes it back out. And then we wait until we get a good entry pass, and then we pass it back to him in the post. Yeah. That happened a lot last year. So to take away some of those, I think is going to be very key.
Yeah. And, as the live stream was going on, I made sure to I took a bunch of notes on the whole practice and everything. So we'll kind of just go through the list. I think there's like 10 or so things I wrote down, but we're gonna go through the list and talk about each one. And we'll start off with Tyrese Maxi. His passing looked a lot better. He was making great skip passes, finding guys in the corners. He overall looked like a much improved passer.
Yeah, Tyrese Maxi. I mean, like seriously, with everything that we've got going on, just passing and ball movement with the weapons. When you have Milton, when you have Thibault, if we can get him passing some, and those guys, Tobias Harris, everybody needs to improve passing wise, especially Tobias. My goodness, I mean, like I think passing for everybody is going to be a key to improve,
Yeah.
and it's an easy thing, and it literally comes from practice, being around the team. You can't be a better passer by doing training that's not with your team. So that's one of the biggest things. Everybody, not just certain players, not just Maxi. I think that's a thing for the entire squad.
Yeah. Next thing I had on the list, obviously it's training camp, but my God, did our shooting look horrific? It needs to get into midseason form by in 18 days. But yeah, we were shooting pretty poorly, especially Matisse Thybulle.
Yeah, that's just training camp things though. We're good on that front. It's just training camp.
It was just like the bricks. They were just pretty loud. That's all I gotta say. The bricks were just pretty loud. But next thing I had on
the Citadel with the echoes, the nice acoustics.
the next
Shout out.
thing I had on the list was D'Anthony Melton needs to clean up his kind of you can tell when you're watching a guy, it's like, oh, that's a young guy mistake, or you common saying, oh, that's a rookie mistake. But
Yeah.
he had a couple turnovers, couple bad decisions, couple bad shots, but I expect him to clean that up by the start of the season, and hopefully we'll see a more polished offensive game.
Yeah, young mistakes are going to happen with someone like him. It's just a learning curve moment that we're going to need, and it's gonna eventually come. Like Doc was talking about to James Harden, it's going to take time. Everything we're going to do is going to take time. So everything like that. I'm not worried about the Anthony Melton right now. If that becomes a thing in the season, like 3 weeks into the season, and he's still struggling, maybe you press the panic button. But right now, as long as they're out there and they're not getting injured and they're hooping and that's all they're doing, I'm fine.
Next thing I had on my list is something the Sixers have struggled for a very long time, and that's defensive rebounding. There was way too many chances for offensive rebounds for the team that was playing offense. Just need to clean it up. We need to have a goal to be one of the best defensive rebounding teams in the league. It just has to be cleaned up.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the big things. D'Anthony Melton actually is a great rebounder for a guard. Hopefully that can help us some. Tobias Harris has to get better, but Joel Embiid can't do everything by himself on the glass. So any type of help, whether it's Paul Reed when he gets in there, him becoming more like a glass cleaner, that would kind of be excellent. Or else, or Montrezl Harrell, like we expect him to be. So just any help like that, but rebounding is going to be a key. Any good championship team are great rebounders. It's just mano a mano with that type of stuff. So, training camp again. Everything here you could say training camp.
Yeah. One thing
that one though is a legit concern.
Yeah. One thing I touched on a couple of minutes ago, all I said was Matisse Thybulle needs to work on, and I wrote this in my notes, all caps, offense. Everything offense. Just keep working on it, man, because, oh my God, did it not look good in this practice? It's frustrating.
Yeah.
There's really not
what
much
can we
to say.
He's just not a good offensive player. He's unplayable in the fourth quarter. Any tight game, you can put him in for defensive possession, and that's it.
Next thing I have on the list, but it's kind of a training camp thing, is it's turnovers. Got to limit the turnovers. There was a lot of bad turnovers, a couple from the young guys, but a couple from the vets, which got to clean up. But that's just a training camp thing, I believe. I think we'll have it more cleaned up soon. But obviously do a better job of with the entry passes, and two players I kind of singled out defensively were D'Anthony Melton and Jaden Springer, who I believe were the two best defenders during that practice. I mean, wow. Jaden Springer was locking up Harden. That's I'm not even kidding. That's how much of a good defender he is.
Yeah, and they're just bully ball guys. They're tough, they're competitive, and they're gonna give 100%. That's no surprise to me that they were the best 2 defenders.
Yeah. And the last thing I had on this list, something that really excited me, James Harden seems to have gotten that quick first step back, that burst back. His jumper was looking fantastic, and obviously his training camp. You could say that kind of about everything, but that burst.
The hamstrings better. 100%.
It really looks like he got his good burst back to beat defenders one-on-one and get to the basket. So that's always what you want to see. The live practice was just such a cool experience. If you got to watch it live, then you got to watch something great. But another thing I really wanted to point out is I really like. We never get to see the coaches and the players interact in practice or anything, but Doc Rivers did such a fantastic job of talking to these guys as you saw in that video clip we showed a few minutes ago. But I was really proud of what Doc Rivers was doing.
Yeah, he's a player's coach. He's not a game manager.
Yeah,
said it all along.
Yeah, you could easily tell in this practice that he's a player's coach. But the practice went great. All in all, yeah, it was a really good practice. Obviously, there's things you need to polish up, but you got 18 days, so we'll see.
Yeah, we got 18
days. Anything else left you got for the live stream or media day?
No, not for media day. I think do we have some tweets we got to get to?
Yeah. I was gonna get to that.
Is it tweet time?
It's everybody's favorite part of your week. It is time to look at your tweets of the day.
Let's do it.
Tony, let's see it. All right. This came out. He took a screenshot from Instagram, post on Twitter, but Drunk Sixers fan, year 3 with a tornado. And Tobias Harris says, "Did you put the tornado because one is coming to Charleston, which is where their training camp is?" And B-Ball Paul had the most B-Ball Paul answer and said, "No, it's because I'm finna be a problem."
Facts.
It's beautiful.
Facts.
It's beautiful. It could make me cry. I love that response from B-Ball Paul. And let's see that next one.
Shout out Munch. You thought I was feeling
But there was a trade that might have been the most pointless and meaningless trade in NBA history, and that was the one you see on the screen. Derek Favors tied. It was an 8-person trade, and it wound up being the most pointless trade in NBA history. But Oklahoma City Thunder did free up $10 million in cap space.
Yeah, that's all they're worried about: draft picks and cap space. I don't think winning's on the agenda for them.
Mm-hmm. Tony, you want to put the overlay back on? But I think. Is that all we have for today? Oh, wait. Well, we got one more thing. We got a little Phillies and Eagles update.
Phillies got postponed late game, but they won earlier today. Brewers currently, as it stands right now, are winning 1-0 in the 9th inning with 1 out and 2 runners on. I'm watching that on my screen.
That's not really what you want to see from
the it's going to come down to the wire.
You want the Brewers to lose.
Let's talk about
the Birds, the 3-0 Birds, baby. You love to see it. The Eagles are back.
Going to be 4-0.
They are number 1 in the power rankings. But when's the last time they were 4-0? I think it was
in a long time.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I don't think it's been this.
The last time they were 4-0, they lost in the Super Bowl. I saw that on Twitter today.
Good. So we're going to be 5-0. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
None of those mean anything, by the way.
I wouldn't be surprised if we started the season 8-0.
Yeah, or we just win. What is it? 17 games this year? Yeah, just win 17 games.
20-0.
20-0. That means
for the Super Bowl. Anything else you boys got, Tony?
Jalen Hurts. He's
MVP. Jalen Hurts MVP season.
Yep.
That is right. Put your money on it. Put your money on it, folks. I think that's all we got for today. Thank you guys so much for episode 18 of Scenes from the Spectrum Training Camp Edition. 18 days until opening tip, episode 18. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to make sure to follow our socials at SFTS Podcast. And there's an _ in our Instagram. Make sure to follow us on TikTok as well. We're everywhere. Coming soon to Apple Podcasts. But thank you guys for watching and have a great rest of your day.
Peace.